Am I the only one working here today? What's with the Hawaiian shirt and the button?
It's my homage to Hopper. Haven't you seen Stranger Things 3?
Dude, that's an homage to Magnum P.I.
Yeah, but it's better because nobody cares about Magnum P.I.
Nobody cares about Thomas Magnum, the number one PI in Hawaii who drove that hot red car.
Stranger Things
who
made
was
it relevant
almost,
again.
Who was almost Raiders Lost Ark Indiana
Yeah,
Jones.
We're not talking about Stranger Things today.
We're talking about Spider-Man.
Spider-Man Far From Home. Amazing, right? Like,
Yeah, so good.
we live in a world where there's 3 Spider-Man 2s.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So-
Yeah, that's awesome.
There are. 2 of them are good.
Yeah, 2 of them are probably the
2 of
best
them are
Spider-Man
really good.
movies ever.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I had to
absolutely.
do the math in my head.
So,
Yes.
comicbookmovie.com did a ranking.
What did they say?
Their ranking is The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3.
Wait, from worst to best.
From worst to best.
Okay.
Okay.
I was
I
once again almost
that
left.
was the best
I was going to say,
one.
throw it
Hold
out.
on a minute.
Throw it out.
Okay, from worst to best. So yes, so Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Amazing Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3.
Yes.
The Amazing Spider-Man.
Correct.
Okay.
Spider-Man Homecoming.
What?
I know. Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is number 1. I think we can all agree Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse, I can definitely, I'll agree with
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
This other, we need to talk about this other part.
I completely agree with that list.
Every single one?
Every single one of them. I think
Interesting.
that's an accurate listing.
I re-ranked these because I don't agree with what they had. And then after seeing Spider-Man Far From Home. Also, by the way, if you're watching this, spoilers.
Yeah.
And by the time this airs, you will have had at least a solid 3, maybe 2.5 weeks of seeing this
Yeah.
movie. Watch Spider-Man Far From Home. Pause this. You can still share it with your friends.
Well, here's the deal. Here's real quick. Let's tangent a second on spoilers. If you're a person who's like so worried about spoilers, like, hey, I'm such a big fan, I don't want to know spoilers, and it's been more than 2 weekends.
You should definitely.
You're not that big of a fan.
7 days a week and I was able to go see it.
It's true.
It's come on.
Tangent done.
All right, so before we re-rank these, a little bit of history behind.
Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, original costume designed by Jack Kirby.
Yes.
He drew the cover of Amazing Fantasy 15, and he actually drew the interiors as well, but it didn't work because Jack. If you guys know Jack Kirby's art, it's very muscular, very blocky, very classic superhero stuff. But Stan wanted more of a wiry, thin, nimble teenager kid because he specifically was saying Spider-Man's a teenager. Yeah, so they gave it to Ditko, and Ditko obviously crushed it. Here's a little side bit for you kids, comic book lovers out there. In the movie Spider-Man Far From Home, every single license plate that I saw was referencing a comic book that's an important comic book, and usually was apropos.
Like number?
Yes.
That's
awesome. So one of the
awesome!
license plate was ASM 1562, which is number 15, 1962. One of them was MTU, and then the numbers escape me, but it's Marvel Team Up, and it was Spider-Man and Nick Fury in the car. So I'm assuming it was when Spidey teamed up with Nick Fury.
Wow.
Yeah. One of them
Yeah.
was ASM 28. I think 2863, which would have been 1963.
Yeah.
So, and those are the only 3 I caught. There were a lot of cars in the movie.
We're gonna go see it again.
Yeah.
Every single
Right,
one.
Check that out,
single
guys.
place.
It's
We're gonna
really,
go into this.
it's really
That's what
fun.
we're gonna
It's a
do.
really fun little gag they did. So yeah, so there you go.
Obviously, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is definitely last on
Yeah.
this list.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I liked this movie not for it being a good movie, but it's like the Batman and Robin of the Spider-Man movies.
No, it's not.
No,
No, it's
it's
not.
only that Spider-Man 3.
I reference kind of Batman Forever, Batman and Robin because it's just like the campy villains. Like Jamie Foxx's Electro, where it's like he's like that weird.
He was
like,
Riddler. Well, he was Riddler.
He was Riddler.
Yeah, that's why it's a little more Batman Forever.
and he gets like electrocuted and his gap
We're
tooth
all-
gets fixed.
Wait,
But it seemed like
right? Electrocution fixes your teeth.
yeah, but it seemed like Spider-Man was beating up somebody with mental issues, kind of.
Yes,
kind of
he was,
bothered me
yeah.
where I was like,
Thank you.
Can we?
you know,
can
like
we,
I felt bad for the guy.
Right, because he was such a fan.
I'll never
Yeah.
forgive the dubstep fighting.
Oh.
You're gonna hurt me by Spider-Man. I mean, come on.
And they when they're fighting at the electro
Yeah.
field thing, and it's like
Yeah.
see,
Yeah,
Spider.
yeah, right. It's so stupid.
No, my issue with it was the weird Mumford and Sons homage where he's just like putting thumbtacks on maps and like red strings and like this weird generic "I'm gonna find my parents" montage that leads to nothing.
Listen,
It's spending the entire film trying to tease you to watch other Spider-Man movies instead of just telling the movie in front of you. They're like, we're going to do Sinister Six. We're going to get to it. Look, we're teasing it. This person's here. Look at this person. Oh, now they're coming together. Here's Rhino. Just kidding. And we never get to it. It's like, just tell me the story right here. What are we doing right now? I want to know about a movie that I'm never going to see because you're never going to make it.
And
just tell me this story.
out of nowhere, the villain that hasn't even been part of this whole movie is going to kill the lead actress right at the very end.
Yep.
We got 5 minutes left in the movie. Let's just kill her off because everyone wants her to die.
See, all right, so I'm gonna give Spider-Man 3 a little bit more credit, and I'll explain
Spinneret.
why.
I'm sorry, what?
We can all agree that The Amazing Spider-Man was not good, and I think I'm gonna rank it, like I said, second to last, and I'm gonna put Amazing Spider-Man before it because like it was just so like Peter Parker was too cool.
It was 500 days of Peter.
This is remember in last episode. That's what I said. They found their niche with Tom Holland. What's his name? Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
He was good as Spider-Man. Like he had all.
He was
like,
great as Spider-Man.
Yeah, he had like the wit
And
and
his
like
costume
the moves.
looked
It was
great.
perfect.
Yeah.
But he was way too cool for Peter Parker.
Yeah, Peter Parker shouldn't be like a hip
Absolutely.
skateboarder.
Yeah, no way. And he was like just like chilling with Gwen Stacy. Like,
Yeah.
what's up? I got these moves. You want that fish dinner?
Their relationship in that movie, 100% just
That
goes
was
up.
the thing, the fish dinner.
There's no tension in their romantic relationship
No.
there. It just goes straight up. That's what
This-
Raimi did great. Is it was ups and downs, and there was
And
do I
this
like you? Do I
one
not
that
like
they
you?
like,
I
that's
like
why
this
I
guy. I
said
like that guy. It was, hey, you're Gwen, I'm Peter. We should be together. Okay, let's
It
get
works,
together by the
so-
end of the movie. Oh my God, your dad died.
Yeah, and that's why I'm giving Spider-Man 3 more credit because at least we were more invested into those characters. If Raimi at least understood those characters, I feel a little bit more than the way that they explained it to the
for
Amazing
sure.
Spider-Man.
Raimi, of course, did.
I just see it as there's a good movie under there
Yeah, sure.
that was a lot better than
Sam Raimi makes good movies, with the exception of that Wizard of Oz movie. That was terrible.
And all right, so you can say as much as you want about that dance scene or whatever it may be. That was funny, okay? All right, it was funny. It had heart. There was something there. It probably wasn't like the best decision, but all this stuff was
Dark
fancy.
Spider-Man.
Well, no,
I'm Dark
here's
Spider-Man.
Here's
It's
no,
actually
no. But here's why he gets away with it though, because in Spider-Man 2,
I
they
know,
did the
yeah.
raindrops keep falling on my
Yeah.
head, which killed.
Yeah.
So it's a callback, and that's why he's allowed to do it. I don't think it worked, but I'm okay with him doing it as a filmmaker because it is a callback, and the raindrop scene totally works in
Yes.
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, it was great. So, do you guys see why I moved this movie up? Do you disagree?
I see, but I still disagree.
Same.
You're going to say The Amazing Spider-Man was better than Spider-Man 3?
Yes.
I at least like watching Andrew Garfield do his Spider-Man crazy.
Yeah, it's
nonsense.
too
Yeah.
long. It's too long till he gets to be in Spider-Man, especially because we had just been introduced to Spider-Man. But overall, yeah, it's more.
And the reason
Just
you're
better.
giving Amazing Spider-Man
It's
3 all this
behind the
credit,
scenes stuff.
yeah, it's like
It
the
doesn't
story.
change anything about the movie. The movie was still garbage.
Well, you guys are all wrong.
It's Pablo's issue, apparently.
So after this, I am going to throw in Spider-Man 1. Although X-Men kicked off that comic book movie genre,
This was the first one in costume.
yeah, well, this
That
also
really embraced it.
this clinched it. If this so it's like X-Men was good, but if this next comic book movie
We're not
would-
giving Blade any credit? We're not talking about Blade at all?
Blade's the one that kicked it out. You're 100% right. And you could say he's in costume, but his costume is leather. The X-Men stole that
Which
look
like
to do
isn't a
leather.
problem because he looks amazing. In
Where are you? I love it.
Shout out to
Oh no,
him.
I love it.
Yeah.
And you're right. Blade does not
Doesn't
get
wanna
its
be
due. Blade
covered in
1 and 2
leather.
are
Okay,
so
I'm
great. Blade 3, along with Spider-Man 3, we have a 3 problem.
But no, I mean like so the in a way the whole genre teetered on Spider-Man performing well. If it wouldn't have, they would have been like, you see, that was like one good movie, and then everything else fell off. From there, I'm gonna say Spider-Man: Homecoming.
I think of Homecoming as an issue of Marvel team up,
Okay.
where it's literally. I mean, it's Spider-Man and Iron Man in Marvel team up
Yeah.
138. You know, like that's what it is, and it was fun. It was fun for that. You know, it wasn't redefining his origin. It wasn't changing any real status quo of him, and you got to see him really interact with the Marvel universe,
Yeah.
and I loved it for that.
You got to be in Queens, too.
And Michael Keaton, obviously brilliant. Like,
He's great
so
in
good.
everything.
Michael Keaton.
He's great in everything.
That car scene when they're going to
Yeah.
the Homecomings?
So good.
so good.
Good. I was sitting there just like my blood pressure was like, bye girl.
Peter, what you about to do?
What's going on?
Peter, he know and you know, but she don't know. And she's
you
talking, but you
imagine-
can't stop
Can you
her.
imagine the tension in that car? I'd be sweating ass through that scene.
I'd have farted. I'd have nervous. Oh god.
Oh my god! I really hope that there was a take of it where when they were doing it and he was intimating what he knew, that Tom Holland would have just been like, "Yeah, well, I know you're Batman."
All right. So then from Homecoming, I'm gonna give it to Far From Home was amazing.
Yes.
Great,
So
it's great.
good.
All right.
Yes.
It was so good.
I mean, we'll follow back up on it, but it was just because I want to really just dive into it a little bit more. But it was so good. My only question is: Marissa Tomei too hot to be Aunt May?
No.
Oh, are you sure?
I think it's.
Can I just say
I
that
think
I
it's
love
great.
that every single reboot we've gotten of Spider-Man, she's gotten younger.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, she was
Like-
Sally Field. Yeah, she was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's-
It was like Super Grandma, Sally
yeah.
Field.
Frog. Yeah.
I love who's the actress that played the one
Super Grandma?
in the Raimi movie.
Oh, she was a wonderful Aunt May.
Yeah,
was wonderful.
she's great.
She was absolutely great. Yeah, and
It's like
she.
hitting Doc Ock with her arm out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny when they have Sally Field, Frog from Smokey and the Bandit. When they have her playing Aunt May, they gave her what's his name from Apocalypse Now, Martin Sheen
Yeah.
as Uncle Ben.
Oh!
I was like, who is should have been the uncle? He's the age of Uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
way too old. I'm like, that's Sally Field. Like, come on, she's still got it going on.
Still got it going on.
Yeah.
After Far From Home with being brilliant, Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2 is on par with Superman the movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's you have that super amazing heroic moment of him stopping the train. Probably one of the most beautiful scenes in any superhero movie.
It's a wonderful, wonderful movie.
You
Probably
disagree?
the best.
I like.
Fight
I
scene,
really.
You like Far From Home better than Spider-Man 2?
Oh, yeah.
I'm with
Spider-Man
you.
2 has been my favorite of all of the ones that have come out. This one though, like.
You like this Spider-Man 2 better than that Spider-Man 2?
I like this Spider-Man 2
Yeah.
better than the other Spider-Man 2. Only because, like I said, the only difference, Tom Holland really fucking nails it as Peter Parker and as Spider-Man. And honestly, the dynamic between him and his friends in it is great. I like that it's not too much into like bringing in about the Avengers and everything. Like it's still its own movie and it can still stand on its own. And honestly, I love Zendaya as MJ.
Oh, she's
I
great.
absolutely love her. She's hysterical.
A lot of people.
Who's-
There's
well,
a lot of wait,
They did early on.
and I get that.
But I feel like that calmed down
I want
once they
people to
actually saw
understand
her.
that
It's also
every-
calmed down because they announced the new area.
Yeah, they get
Well,
to shift their racism.
right. They get
Yeah.
to shift the race.
Oh, the racist
Here's
guy
the
just
thing,
go to
though.
Ariel now.
No,
MJ is
Zendaya's great.
It's not just because she's funny and because she brings something new to the table, but like MJ as a character, girl, like you haven't had the best reputation of being someone smart or funny or anything. You're kind of this just cute airhead. And I think she brings this dynamic,
Oh, yeah.
this smart, this wit, and like she gives her something like this new life. And honestly, I want to be that MJ. I don't care about this like Kristen Dunst MJ. No offense to you, girl, but honey.
Kirsten.
They're so neck and neck. You're right. This is so hard for me to decide between these two.
They're neck and neck just
Yeah.
like everybody else. But I like them both for different reasons. Spider-Man 2, it feels really true to the comics, and we get a great, supervillain, superhero fight.
Yep.
Where I didn't feel that way in Far From Home, but I like the differences in Far From Home because they kept doing Aunt May, MJ. This feels like something new.
I'll tell you what both those movies have in common is they both have really fully fleshed out villains. Doc Ock's story is absolutely, you're
Solid.
engrossed,
Yeah.
you're into it, you know what's up.
And everything looked great.
Yeah.
His outfit was great.
And then the same thing with Mysterio. You are into that. If you know Mysterio, you're as a comic fan, you're kind of like, okay, something's gonna flip, but there's still enough surprises there. And then when you learn the reason why, it's like, oh, great, and he's a fully realized dude. That's why it works so well.
Yeah. Look, they're neck and neck.
Yeah.
We'll just rank them both at number 2, hands down.
They're great. They're both great.
both
movies.
sequels. They're amazing. But obviously, I mean, number 1, right? Number 1 Spider-Man movie.
My boy.
Spider-Verse. Absolutely.
My boy, Miles Morales.
100%.
Because when you're talking about why it was a movie that I had seen in a long time, not just Spider-Man movie, not just superhero movies, but it was a movie that I watched and I'm like, I'm watching something new right now. Something like that hasn't been done before. Something different. And it just like not even like it's got so much heart, so beautiful, such a great story. All the characters brilliantly done, and those dudes got fired from the Star Wars, the Solo.
What
Well, they-
now, son?
they-
Best
I got-
Spider-Man movie
There
hands
was an
down.
interview- there was-
Star Wars.
Best animated movie.
There
Yeah,
was-
of all time.
There was an
It's
interview
so
with
good.
them where they said Spider-Man wouldn't have been as good had they not been fired from
Yeah.
Solo, because they then had more time to work on Spider-Man and
Wow.
really make it a thing.
And I'm fine with the way Solo ended up being.
No, let's not go down the Star
We're
Wars
not
route.
We're not going down
We're
that
not going down
Too
that
much.
road.
Too much.
But also the immersion into culture and into we now get to see. I mentioned how I loved how in this Homecoming and Far From Home. Well, not so much Far From Home, but in Homecoming, you see Queens, and Into the Spider-Verse, we see Brooklyn,
Yep.
we see Black culture, we see Latin culture, Latinx culture. We get a real deep immersion into what it's like from this perspective. It's so dope. So dope.
It's also like it's a beautiful movie too about like family and whatnot as well. I don't know too much of the backstory of the Miles Morales character, but his dad.
Funny you bring that up.
Got you.
Because that movie, what it very deftly did is it solved the Miles Morales origin problem by giving him a dead uncle. The comic books didn't have that. The comic books, the dead uncle was Peter. Miles was inspired by the death of the Ultimate Universe Peter Parker, and he was like, "I'm going to be a better." He got his spider powers from his uncle, the Prowler. There was that's all the same. But the death that inspired him was Peter, and so it's like this step removed when you talk about clean origin stories.
Yeah.
It's saying, oh well, yeah, there was a Spider-Man, but then he had a bunch of adventures, but then he died, and then there was this other kid who got inspired by, and that's such a messy origin that the comics are kind of sort of stuck with. Spider-Verse goes, no, there's a multiverse, there's all kinds of things, and this Spider-Man, he has his own dead uncle that inspires him to be a hero. Perfect. They totally solved that problem.
Okay, so now that we got all this out of the way, let's once again, spoilers. Spider-Man: Far From Home.
What I love about Far From Home is we're getting peak Spider-Man.
Yeah, we are.
In that, you think about that final fight, they're on the Tower Bridge, and everything's gone crazy, drones everywhere, like can't get to Mysterio, and he like looks and he notices, it's not just, I'm gonna punch my way out of this fight, right? He's like, okay, I gotta grab this, I see that thing's tossing that thing up, I'm gonna like take this little machine, use that to like disperse them guys, use this to bounce, it's like he's using his ingenuity, and just like you're saying, like that's who Spider-Man is.
Yeah.
He's not the guy who punches the hardest.
Yeah.
He also is a genius.
And his Peter tingle.
And the Peter tingles. That whole scene where he like closes his eyes and is like
They
in
really
it.
reference the spider sense. Like this is the first time we've really seen it. In action.
And there was
they
there
referenced
was a
it in
Oh,
Infinity
yeah.
War.
yeah. You saw it. You
Bullet,
saw it
but
before.
You can't dodge a banana?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was great.
The way they gave us Mysterio's powers was perfect, because that is so comic booky. That is such a great awesome.
One of my, I don't know, because there's so many of my scenes that are amazing, but one of my favorites, I love that toast scene.
That
when
was
he
a
finally gets the
wild
glass.
scene.
Because at first I'm like, oh, I don't know, he's about to monologue. It might be a little bit. It's like the most,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
the best way to get him to monologue without really monologuing.
Yeah.
And then the way they tie everything in together, the rest of the MCU, I'm just like,
And they got the same guy from
yeah.
Iron
They
Man.
got
Oh
the same-
yeah.
The same guy he yelled at.
crazy.
Do we know? Do you guys realize who that is?
No.
That's Ralphie from A Christmas Story.
Get out.
No.
No!
Yes, it is.
Do I
Peter
have something
Billingsley.
Can I also just say that, I don't know about y'all, but when I was watching this, because we all know that Mysterio is a villain. We know that.
Right.
So I'm sitting here watching this, and I'm like, okay, how are they gonna wrap this up? Like, what's going on? And then as soon as that bar scene happens, I'm just sitting here like, oh man, he's sitting here talking about what a dumb teenager he is, and boy, oh boy, you're about to do it. And then he does, and I'm just like, ah. And then everything starts to Thanos disappear, and I'm like, oh god, here we go, this is it. And then when they go into it, they go into it. That whole scene at the end, like you were talking about with the drones, how you had mentioned before, how they kind of have to show off that he is this smart, sciencey, genius dude. I like that they subtly do it in these movies in a way where, if you're watching and paying attention like a human being, you'll see this. Like when he got super nerded out when they started talking about
Happy's reaction to that was perfect.
Yeah, when
Because he
they
just smiles
said-
and goes away yeah, that's Tony's.
that's Tony's
Yeah.
kid with that scene when he finally talks to Mysterio and he's like, oh, I'm from this other universe. And he's like, so you're telling me that there's these alternate universes, and getting really science and nerdy. And he says, don't apologize for being the smartest kid in the room. And that's what you brought up when he starts taking those drones and attaching them because he's thinking. He's using his brain, not just brute strength.
Quentin Beck had a genuine affection for Peter Parker.
Yeah.
He really was upset, which, and I thought,
he pulled it
yeah,
off.
yeah, Gyllenhaal he was really good.
I was so surprised.
Yeah, he was really good.
I love Jake Gyllenhaal.
And he just
right?
had such a genuine affection for Peter Parker.
was
He was
great.
very upset that he had to kill Peter Parker.
Yeah.
They did so much justice to
Yeah.
that character, and then the whole movie also too is kind of like a callback to all the Iron Man movies.
Yeah.
Like even like Iron Man 3. This is like Peter's Iron Man 3, where he's dealing with the
Totally is
PTSD.
Peter Irons.
Yeah, so it's like it's so cool how they parallel Tony and Peter. This is just 100% that
Well,
movie.
they're hangover
character's eyes.
hangover movies, you know, because we got Avengers, and that was such a big epic thing. And the next movie after that was Iron Man 3, and you need a little like hangover.
Yeah.
You need to come back.
I also super glad that they brought back J.K. Simmons as J.
Yes.
Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
Like I
That
do like
was
him.
so amazing.
I
thought it was great.
But they're doing so many different things. It was a little weird when they brought it back. Like it like kind of shook me for a minute.
It was great.
But I
Yeah.
do love him.
Right.
But it did catch me as kind of weird because everything's so new. When that happened, I just had flashbacks of the old
I
Spider-Man.
just don't think that anyone could play him but
I was gonna say,
Exactly.
who else?
Can you imagine
Yeah.
anybody
Like, I
else in
can't.
that role?
No,
at all.
No.
Who else could play J. Jonah Jameson?
No.
no.
Nobody.
For a while, there was rumors that J.B. Smoove was going to be J. Jonah Jameson, and obviously it didn't. But everybody's like, J.B. Smoove just got cast in this new Spider-Man movie. Is he J. Jonah Jameson? Which I was like, kind of like,
He's awesome as a teacher, though.
Well, he was
He's
hilarious.
great. I love him.
He's like, dude's a legend.
Listen,
but-
I'm a Pootie Tang fan from back in the day,
Doesn't-
and I am
doesn't
not.
love Pootie
I
Tang?
am not Pootie.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love Pootie Tang. So I've been a JB Smoove fan for a while.
I will say the last thing that I'm going to say about it. I can't tell you enough how happy I am with the way they ended it, because I'm sitting here and I'm like, they better not end this on like some happy note or something. And then, again, spoilers. When he comes out and he's like, by the way, Spider-Man's Peter Parker, here's the photo.
Yeah.
I was like, this petty. Oh my god! I yelled at the end of the movie. I yelled. I swore at the end of the movie.
My theater had an
I was
audible
like-
gasp. Like,
I was watching Spider-Man when an earthquake happened, and people definitely left, and I stayed.
Is this-
Because I'm like, if I'm gonna die, at least I'm watching this movie.
Is this like, were you wearing this the whole time? Is
I have been
he's
wearing this
wearing
the
that
whole time.
such
Well, that's a Matt Rapoli.
That's where he keeps his costume.
Thank you for watching. Here's the issue where we have deep thoughts about shallow things. Special thanks to Jessica Harbour Dunn, whose birthday is today.
Happy
And she's here behind the camera filming right now. Special thanks to Golden Apple Comics for obviously giving us free run of this place to talk about Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, absolutely. Check it out. Subscribe, like, share this video with your friends. If you like it, like it. If you dislike it, dislike it. Leave a comment in the comments below. Till next time, you can follow me at Pablo Eppen Persona.
At Joe on Joe Pod.
Amanda Party Poison.
Von Dexter M.
I don't have an Instagram.
John does have an Instagram. He just doesn't want your follows. JT_1981.
Wow.
Till next time,
Outed.
what's your issue?